In this video, we're going to be looking specifically at the liquefaction and landslide hazards that are found on the Oregon HazView map. To find this in our bookmarks, we go down here to Oregon due diligence sites, and we're looking for the Oregon HazView statewide Geohazards viewer. This is where we're going to find the information that we're looking for. We've got a subject property here, and the address is 85461 Jasper Park Road in Pleasant Hill. There's our property, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the satellite layer. It's hard to tell what's what without the satellite layer on, so we can see here's property we've been looking at, house up front, property goes to the back. In our previous analysis, we've already determined that there is a flood zone across the back of this property. There's also a seasonal creek that is marked across the back of this property. Now we want to look at the liquefaction susceptibility. We want to look at landslide hazard. We can also pull up flood maps, I believe, in here. Diving in deeper here, we're going to open up our layers. And I always click on the radon layer. We know what the radon hazard is. We know that it's a minimal there, but just making sure that nothing shows up that's out of the ordinary. Flood hazard, so this represents the flood hazard. So this concurs what we have in the county information, as well as concurs what we have in the federal FEMA information. And that is a flood zone that passes through the back of the property. This project is likely to get a floodplain development permit. And the way that floodplains work is in this jurisdiction that any development work that is done within the floodplain is required to have a floodplain development permit. So that's not just the house, that's the septic, that's the driveway. So if any part of this project lands inside of this floodplain, then they will be subject to a floodplain development permit. So we already have that information recorded. We're going to move on down. The next spot we're going to stop is here at earthquake hazard. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this earthquake hazard layer on, and then we specifically want to look at the liquefaction susceptibility. It's going to automatically default to having the instrumental intensity map selected. Really no idea what that means or why it may be applicable to us. So we're going to turn that layer off, and then we're going to go ahead and turn on that liquefaction susceptibility layer, and we see that it pops up and it's got a lot of red. So a large portion of this valley is red, and everything under our subject property is red as well. So there's our property again. And what I'm going to do is up here is the legend for the layers. And just to double check, I'm going to pull this up. So this area is somewhere between high and very high. So I'm going to go ahead and report this for this particular job as high to very high liquefaction susceptibility. Now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to turn this layer off. So we know we've got liquefaction susceptibility. We know this is a pretty flat lot, but we're going to check the landslide hazard anyway. So we're going to turn that on. Sometimes it takes a minute. Sometimes I turn off the shallow and deep susceptibilities so that we can look at the state real clearly. And looking at this property, we've concurred that it is flat. There might be a little bit of slope across the back. We're not particularly worried about that. We're looking for oranges and reds to indicate high slope. This particular property that we're looking at is within Lane County. And Lane County, in their code, they say that if there is areas that are identified as red in the state landslide mapping application, then there's special conditions. So really, for us, if it's red, we want to flag it. If it's anything other than red, we might note it, but it's probably not going to cause any additional work from the jurisdiction. Another thing that I typically look at while I'm in here is I look at this bare earth LiDAR. Sometimes it gives us a little bit of visibility of what this lot looks like. And we're looking for high slopes, holes, piles, things that may indicate that work has been done on this property. And I'm not seeing anything that raises any red flags. We're already in a spot where we're going to recommend a GeoTech because of the liquefaction hazard. Pretty much anywhere where they're going to go on here, they're going to have to get some sort of a soil survey. And a little bit of bonus training while we're here, since we're talking about Lane County. Lane County, we've talked in a previous video, but Lane County has their own GeoTech Report requirements map. And that's a standalone map from any of the rest of their county maps. It's called the GeoTech Report Requirement Areas map. And just for fun, we're going to go ahead and pull up this property. Typically, when I find properties with liquefaction hazards, they're going to be mapped on this map and explicitly require a geotech report. So there's our property. Doesn't look like I can turn on imagery. There's imagery so we can get an idea of what we're looking at. But yep, confirm this is our lot. And yes, it's in the pink area, so it is also within the geotech required area. So we'll go ahead and make sure that our builder knows that the customer is going to be required to get a geotech report before they submit for building permits. So there you have it, a little bit of information on finding liquefaction susceptibility, looking at landslides, and then reviewing the Plain County geotech required map. Thanks.